Can a self-proclaimed outsider who's taking a big anti-war position now capture the Democratic presidential nomination? Joining us is presidential hopeful Tom Vilsack. He's former Democratic governor of Iowa. Mr. Vilsack, I have followed your career. I actually watched your announcement speech on C-SPAN. I always regarded you as a moderate Democrat, pro-growth, pro-business, pro-national security. And then I read your speech before the DNC, and you sounded so far to the left, sir. What's going on?
Oh, I don't think so, Larry. Not at all. Clearly, we have a different view on the war. I think our military operations did what they were asked to do. They got rid of Saddam Hussein. They gave the Iraqis a great opportunity to build a nation. But we can't make them take advantage of that opportunity. It is clear it's a civil war. We need to get our troops out of the middle of that civil war. We need to place responsibility to end the civil war where it belongs, on the Iraqis.
Well, I appreciate your point of view, and I respect it. I'm sure it's well thought out. But I just want to ask you, in terms of the public debate right now, you're taking a defunding position. That is really out there on the left. That's the McGovernite position. That's the old Vietnam position of 1974-75. Is that where a Midwestern moderate should be in this race? You sound like everybody else.
Well, Larry, I don't agree with that characterization. I think it's the right and moral position to take, given the fact that we have been there for 4 years, given the fact that we've created this opportunity, and given the fact that most military experts do not believe a surge, do not believe additional troops or capping troops is going to work. The reality is we have to give the Iraqis the responsibility to take matters into their own hands and determine whether or not they want a nation, and if so, what type of nation they want. It is only a matter of time when we'll continue to see a continued escalation of this war. We have to get out of the middle of it so that folks can finally resolve it for themselves. It's a political issue, not a military issue.
All right. Over the weekend, we heard Mrs. Clinton at this DNC meeting say that she would confiscate energy profits, confiscate oil, which I think sends a chilling message to all of American business, frankly. We also heard Mr. Edwards on Meet the Press with Tim Russert talk about raising taxes. Now, again, I come back. My original take and vision on you is that you're a Midwestern moderate Democrat who was pro-business and pro-growth. What do you think about confiscating profits? What do you think about raising taxes?
As a governor, I balanced 8 consecutive budgets. We had tax relief every year I was governor. So it can be done. It's a matter of making sure that you've got fiscal discipline and that you're responsible in terms of how you approach the budget. Let me say this about energy. It is the single most important issue that this country faces in terms of its long-term stability. It's an issue that cuts across and creates an innovative and creative economy that can expand the middle class. It's an issue that will allow us to have healthier communities. It's an issue that will allow us to reclaim the moral high ground on issues involving climate change. And most importantly of all, perhaps, Larry, it's the issue that can affect our national security. We'll no longer be funding both sides of the global insurgency that we're facing. And it is a tremendous opportunity for growth and potential in this country, but we have to be bold. We have to have the courage to create significant change in the way in which we use energy and the way in which we produce it.
Do we have to have a government-driven solution, Mr. Vilsack? In other words, I agree with a lot of the things you just said, but I note that we've tried these big government planning solutions in the past. Richard Nixon tried it, couldn't do it. Jimmy Carter tried it, couldn't do it. I just don't. What about markets? Markets work, prices are high, consumption falls off, production increases, people start seeking renewable fuels, big corporations like Walmart order fluorescent light bulbs and, you know, smaller, more efficient truckers, that kind of thing. John Doerr, the great venture capitalist, has said that private enterprise and technology can do it. Where do you come out on that? Government or technology?
Well, I think it's a partnership. I think it's a public-private partnership. That's certainly what we did in Iowa when we built a renewable fuel industry that's now #1 in the nation. We didn't essentially mandate things. We created a market opportunity and incentive for people to purchase renewable fuel. They did. We then began to build more facilities, put more people to work, and raised incomes in our state. I believe that same thing can happen across the country, but it is important and necessary for us to have a comprehensive plan that focuses on conservation, on creating a renewable fuel and energy industry, and also trying to figure out ways to use creatively the materials that we've used in the past to produce our power so that we are less reliant on foreign oil. There's no question the future of oil is not particularly good. When you look at China and India, scarce resources, more expensive extraction, it is not the way to go long-term for this country. There's enormous opportunity in other forms.
Well, I'm assuming that your favorite renewable is corn ethanol. Now, I just want to ask you about there's a story in the Wall Street Journal the other day that said the United States, this is only after a couple years of this experiment, we are actually now importing ethanol already, which strikes me as a step in the wrong direction.
Well, Larry, first of all, don't assume that I necessarily think corn is the answer. I think it was a great way to start the conversation. But in the long run, there's not enough corn, and we do not want to create a competition between food, fiber, and fuel. Biomass is an opportunity for us. You'll begin to see Iowa take a leadership position in the Midwest, a leadership position in that. That's the kind of public-private partnership we need. We need to encourage the research and development of alternatives to corn. We also need to take a look at the tariffs in terms of Brazil. We need to reduce and ultimately eliminate those tariffs, bring the Brazilian ethanol into this country, create a demand for E85, put pressure on Detroit to create more flexible fuel vehicles, and you're going to see a growing economy and a less dependent oil economy.
Well, I think that getting rid of the tariffs is very pro-growth. One last one, sir. We appreciate your coming on very, very much. There's a bill in Congress. It's going to be in both houses. It's going to have some bipartisan support. $18 billion reduction in farm subsidies in order to pave the way for a worldwide free trade agreement. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I think we do have to change the way in which we approach farm subsidies. Rather than subsidizing commodity production, we need to subsidize conservation.
Governor Tom Vilsack of Iowa, we appreciate it very much. Hope to see you again. All best of luck, sir.
Thank you.
By the way